Hi, and welcome again in English language teaching methods. And today we will look at three methodological innovations in language teaching. Research in second language acquisition has informed current views of language learning and contributed to methodological innovations in language teaching with the focus on learning. As Larson, Freeman, and Anderson in 2011 point out, these innovations include the teaching of learning strategy training, the use of cooperative learning, and the incorporation of different intelligences in lesson planning. Now, these three methodological innovations will be explained in this video. Now, first, let's look at learning strategy training. Again, if you just look at the name, learning strategy training, here we can guess or predict that this training is about learning strategies, how you learn or how a language learner learn a language, what strategies that they use, and whether these strategies can be trained to other students. Okay, Rubin, in 1975 identified some of the good language learners' learning strategies, as she called it, the techniques or devices which a learner may use to acquire knowledge. So, according to Rubin, good language learners are willing and accurate guessers who have a strong desire to communicate and will attempt to do so even at the risk of appearing foolish. This is good language learners, ready or willing to take risk, because he has the desire to communicate. Now, these students attend to both the meaning and the form of their message. They also practice and monitor their own speech as well as the speech of others. These are what Rubin said as good language learners do. Now, then in 1985, Wenden observed that language teachers' time might be profitably spent in learner training as much as in language training. So it's not only language training, but learner training. What does it mean, learner training? This is to train learners how to learn. And such suggestions led to the idea of learning strategy training. Yeah. Training students in the use of learning strategies could improve their learning effectiveness. So here then the idea is to train learners or students of language learning strategies, because by students learning these strategies, their learning can be more effective. Now, in terms of language learning strategies, here we can see that Chamet and O'Malley in 1994 proposed three learning strategies called metacognitive strategies, cognitive strategies, and social or affective strategies. So let's see first the metacognitive strategies. Here we see it is used to plan, monitor, and evaluate a learning task. To arrange the conditions that help one to learn, and to set long and short-term goals, to check students' comprehension during listening or reading. So basically, the questions are asked here: what conditions help you learn best? This is asked to the learners. What do you want to learn? So they need to have goals, whether it's short-term or long-term goals, what they really want to learn and what have they understood. So here to check students' comprehension during listening or reading. So this is what is called metacognitive strategies. Now come to cognitive strategies. Here the learners interact and manipulate what is to be learned. So for example, replaying a word or phrase mentally, so in their mental, to listen to it again, learning a new word by associating with a familiar word, or by creating a visual image, or by outlining and summarizing what has been learned. So if you use these strategies, then you are using cognitive strategies. Yeah, to learn a word, for example, you try to associate with another familiar word. You learn a word, you try to create a visual image in your mind. Yeah, this is examples of you doing cognitive strategies in learning a language. Now, how about social and affective strategies? Now, here learners interact with others or use affective control to assist learning. Yeah, the example given here is creating situations to practice the target language, yeah, using self-talk to think positively, and even talking to ourselves, talking oneself through a difficult task, and cooperating or working with others to share information, yeah, to obtain feedback and to complete a task. So in social and affective strategies, of course, you use these strategies with others, yeah, with other people. When you interact with other people, you create this situation to practice the language, and even like I said before, you self-talk. You talk to yourself. You can do this to learn a language. Yeah. Now, the principles behind language strategy training, there are several here. So the students' prior knowledge and learning experiences should be valued and built upon. Yeah? And studying certain learning strategies will contribute to academic success. Yeah, so you learn the strategies, not only you learn to learn the language, but this is also for your academic success. Yeah. The teacher's job is not only to teach language, but to teach learning. Now, this is the interesting part. Yeah, as language teachers, you don't just teach the language to your students, but you train them. Yeah, you teach them how to learn better. Yeah, that's why it's called learning strategy training. Students here need to become independent, self-regulated learners. Yeah, here self-assessment can contribute to learner autonomy. How, as teachers, we motivate students to become independent. Yeah, because when you want to learn a language, of course, it's you yourself who's going to use that language. So you the one who will um, you the one who has to be independent, to be autonomous of your learning. Know what you want to learn, yeah, and then you learn it. An important part of learning a strategy is being able to transfer it, use it in different situations. So when you learn these strategies, yeah, learning strategies training here, it's not only for language per se. Yeah, it's not only to learn a language, but it can be implemented or it can be transferred to other learning as well, even the subject matter that you learn. So it's not only for language learning. The strategies, yeah, the learning strategies that are trained are not only for language learning. Now, these are, for example, techniques that can be used or strategies that you can use for your students, yeah, to train your students. For example, in reading, yeah, skimming each paragraph, that's a strategy to find out main idea of the passage. So you read quickly, but you only read the important part. In this case, for example, only the topic sentence, and the topic sentence usually comes at the beginning or the first sentence of each paragraph. Now here you try to train your students to do skimming paragraph or guessing the meaning, guessing the main idea of each paragraph. Yeah, evaluating the lesson. Yeah, how students feel. So here, the evaluation is not only about the lesson, but also about students' feeling. How do you feel about the lesson? Yeah, and that's why you can come up with students' feedback of the lesson itself. So the benefit of learning strategy training is to help learners to continue to learn after they have completed their formal study of the target language. See, this is the benefit there of learning strategies training. It doesn't stop until you finish learning a language, but it continues. Yeah? It completes even your formal study, yeah, of the target language. So it's not, like I said before, it's not only for the language, but it can be transferred to other learning as well. So what is learning strategy training? Yeah, it is training students in the use of learning strategies in order to improve their learning effectiveness. Okay, remember this learning strategy training because it's important not only in language learning but also in other kind of learnings.